So if you are ready to get hours back every single week and feel so much better about the work that you're doing, then this episode is for you. Today we are going far beyond productivity hacks. I am throwing a few of those in there because I do love them, but we're really going to be looking at how to actually get 2 hours back every single day so that you can be channeling that into more specific work that you want to be doing, creative projects, just hanging out with your family, or whatever the fuck you want to do with your time, because we shouldn't just all be working all the time, right? Hi, I am Sam, and I help creative entrepreneurs to build out the team, the systems, and the marketing automations to do the work for them so that they get hours of time back every single week and they have ample time to do whatever they want while more and more money flows in. As I mentioned, today we are talking about your time and getting it back, and specifically 4 simple ways, straightforward ways to get 2 hours of time back on a daily basis. So let's dive in. Okay, so I am all for the journals and the dot journals and all the things. Like, I think they're lovely, and organization, so lovely. But what I find to be the most powerful way to actually get your time back is to stop doing the things that don't matter. So I know, it's an obvious one, right? And what happens a lot when we start our own business is we start to really fill up our time, especially if you come from a corporate background where you're trying to fill up 40 hours a week and your body and your system is just used to working 8 hours a day. We will just automatically fill that time with things, and we'll find more things to do in that time. Well, you don't have to. It's just like gas vapors filling up whatever space it is in. Any task, any project will just fill up whatever space we allow it to fill up. So first of all, very first thing we want to do is to delete. So if you are someone who's comfortable with numbers, the easiest way to do this is to actually just look at your metrics and be like, I spend 10 hours a week on Instagram, but I've never gotten a single client from Instagram. You might want to delete the entire task that is creating things for Instagram. Or let's say that you have a particular offer that only brings in $1,000 a month, and you have another offer that brings in $5,000 a month. Then just deleting that entire offer could be a way of getting significantly more time back, because you will just be focusing on this offer over here. So it can be simple things like, does my virtual assistant actually need to post on Instagram stories? Does that actually matter? How much time is that taking? How much am I paying them? Am I noticing that my client calls are going for 90 minutes when actually in the contract it's only supposed to be 60 minutes? Like, oh, well, let's delete that extra 30 minutes there. So you going through and actually assessing your time, how much time does different things take? Really, what time are you spending on things? And I use a free app called Toggle to track time. I've been using it for a decade now. Harken back to my freelancer days when I actually had to track time for clients, and it's just a habit now. But if you want to spend a week actually tracking how much time you take on different tasks, it can be incredibly enlightening if you've never done it before, of how much time you spend on different things, whether that is social media, that's scrolling, that is client work, that is checking emails, whatever it is, and make the judgment call of like, what things could I actually delete here? So that's the first thing that we want to do you can get so much more time back just by deleting tasks that don't move the needle forward towards your goal. Okay, so our second way to get 2 hours back on a daily basis is a mindset work thing of you actually looking into and feeling into, do you feel guilty when you do things that are easy? I see this over and over again with clients, especially for people who are starting out, but it does happen again, even if you're scaling to multiple 6-7 figures. Do you feel guilty just doing the things that come naturally, that are in your sphere of genius? We will often try to make things harder for us just to justify a price. Like if you were increasing a price for something, you might notice like, oh, I'm actually making my life hard. I'm trying to make it harder to get that money, or I'm trying to spend more time doing something or do something that I don't like doing to subconsciously justify a price increase. So if you feel guilty just doing things that come easily for you, if you feel guilty charging money at all for things that come naturally to you, or increasing your prices for things to come easily for you, because newsflash, the things that come easily for you that are in your sphere of genius are actually what you're meant to be doing, right? That's literally what you're born to do on the earth, the things that are easy and make a big impact for people. So you digging into, what if I only did work that came easily to me and delegated out the rest? How much time would I actually have to work on a weekly basis? Because the work that you comes the most naturally to you, the work that you do better than everyone else, the work that everyone comes to you for, is the stuff that you should actually be charging the most for. Okay, that's a big one, right? So digging into, do you feel guilty just doing work that comes easily for you? Are you making your work harder just to justify a price point, and how can you release that? Okay, so the third way to get time back every single day is to know your rhythms. We are in a patriarchal culture. The workplace used to just be men. So the 40-hour work week was created for factory workers, which were 99% men, and wasn't created for women or creative people who are more cyclical and have more of a flow. And just from our hormone levels as women, if you are a woman or identify as a woman, from one week to another week, you probably have different energy levels. And by knowing your rhythms, which can include your hormonal rhythms, your time of the month, and when you're ovulating, is a way to actually get time back. And just noting, like, okay, during this week, I am at this stage of my cycle and I have a lot of energy, or I'm attracted to doing this kind of work. A lot of people, when they're ovulating, they like doing more social activities. They like presenting, they like doing the interviews, where when you're on day one of your period, like, you want to be most likely hiding in bed. I mean, that could be different for you, but that's most often the case. So knowing your hormonal rhythm is actually a hack to get your time back. On a weekly basis, if you can change the type of work you're doing, or even the number of hours you're working, you will actually be more efficient with your time and more effective with your time than expecting every week to be the same. And the same with just noticing, like, do you have the most creative vision at nighttime, or is it at 6 a.m.? Are you always tired at 3 p.m.? And actually knowing your own cycle and your own rhythm and working then. You are a business owner, you get to do things 100% your way. So structuring your weeks, structuring your days to work for you and your unique cycle, your unique creative flow will actually allow you to get time back versus expecting every day to be the same. Okay, so the fourth way to get time back on a daily basis is kind of reminiscent of what I said before, where often time is like a gas in a room, where it expands to the amount of area we give it. The amount of time a project takes expands the amount of time that we actually give it. So if you give yourself 8 hours to write a sales page, you're mostly going to take 8 hours to write a sales page, versus actually I'm going to take 30 minutes to write my first draft of a sales page, and I'm going to actually commit to that. You will actually do that. Or 1 hour, maybe 30 minutes is too ridiculous sounding to you. But if you can realize that often our tasks are these fluid things and our projects are these fluid things that expand or contract to how much time we give them, it's actually an empowering thing to realize, because you can actually challenge yourself to get more done in less time. So the way to practically do this is, let's say, like, if you write out everything you have to do this week or everything you have to do today, and write little time limits on every single task. You might, like, check emails and respond to emails in 10 minutes, and write a sales email in 22 minutes, and write on Instagram or create all of my Instagram Canva graphics for the month in 24 minutes, and actually writing out the exact time everything should take. And it actually, I'm saying random numbers for a point because it actually affects our brain. If we do more random numbers than things like 30 minutes, we do like 42. That's an aside. We can actually train ourselves to produce the amount of work in less time. And at the beginning, this can be a little stress-inducing. But over time, as we start trusting ourselves to create these things and being okay with imperfect work, or things not having to be perfect, or things just coming easily, we can actually rid ourselves of that perfectionism and get significantly more done in less time. And one technique that is kind of related to this, so bonus way for you, is there's a technique called the Pomodoro Technique, Pomodoro, and it works with the idea that it was done by this study that looked at how university students studied and retained information of working for, I believe it is like 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and actually using a timer to say, like, I'm going to work on this for 25 minutes and then I'm going to take a 5-minute break. I'm going to work on this for 25 minutes and I'm going to take a 5-minute break. It actually, creating those little rest points in between allows your brain to relax and rest so that at the end of the day, you feel more rested and less burnt out. And also it forces you, if like you literally have a timer in front of you of like this, then the timer goes off, I'm done. It makes you hyper focus, because so much time is wasted when we multitask. There's a gazillion studies now showing that multitasking is like the worst thing you can possibly do. And I'm being dramatic, I know. But actually makes it so that a task takes longer to complete, even though we feel like we're doing more because of context switching. So when you can focus on one task at a time, commit to the amount of time it takes, and challenge yourself to actually do it within that amount of time, you can get significantly more work done and get hours back on a weekly basis. Okay, so quick recap is first, delete. Always first delete. Look at your time and delete the things that aren't actually moving the needle forward. Second is to dig into if you feel guilty around only doing the things that come naturally to you and are easy for you. The third is to learn your rhythms. What times of the month, what times of the day do you actually get the most done and you have the most energy for working? The fourth is the challenge to actually constrain the amount of time you allow for a task to take, because a task will expand or contract based on the amount of time you give for it. That's all for today. These sound very simple, but if you actually do the work, they will give you hours back on a weekly basis. Let us know in the comments below if you've tried any of them, how they work for you. Maybe you might want to tell us which one you're going to try this week. And if you want to go deeper with this work, I invite you to sign up for my free masterclass, Creatrix. It is a pre-recorded masterclass, so you can watch it immediately. All you need to go do is go to thedirtyalchemy.com/Creatrix. We'll link it down below. And that is one simple shift that you can make to reclaim your time and dissolve the walls that are keeping you stuck in the day-to-day of your business, so that you can actually be having more of an impact in the world while having lots of spacious free time to birth that work into the world. So I'll see you next week. And again, the link for that is thedirtyalchemy.com/Creatrix. And have a great one. I will see you in the comments below.